This is Bad Movies We Love, part of the Sheist Podcast Network.
Hello, once again, Bad Movie Lovers. I am your host, Nick Sheist, and welcome to another episode of Bad Movies We Love.
If you're listening to this, you are the Resistance.
That's right, and you can help support the Resistance by going to ko-fi.com. That's ko-fi.com/badmovieswelove, spelled the conventional way. You can sign up to be a monthly contributing member, or you can just buy me a cup of coffee, as the name suggests. Every donation, no matter how big or how small, goes a long way when supporting an independent podcast like this one. So I want to give a big shout out and a thank you to my friend Ben for following the Yellow Brick Road and supporting the Resistance by buying me a cup of coffee. Thank you, sir, and I look forward to working with you again. And for today's episode, we've got a treat for you as my friend Ryan from Film Club joined me to go 3 realities deep as we go headfirst into the Snyderverse with Sucker Punch from 2011.
Sucker Punch is a fuck you to a lot of people that will watch it.
Steampunk action film, and then there's a very out of place musical number in the middle of it.
What the fuck is this?
She fights with a sword, and there's all this crazy shit, dragons, etc.
I thought this was a Zack Snyder slam bam action movie with a lot of slow motion. What's this music number?
There's gonna be some people that die.
You could say, was the entire movie a dream?
No, this was intentional. It's no, it was not. Don't lie to us.
I would consider myself a Zack Snyder fan. I would not consider myself in the Zack Snyder cult.
You thought Superman's mustache was bad. Come get a look at this guy's face.
This movie wasn't bad. This movie's awesome.
Ryan, thank you for joining me on this Friday evening as we dive into a Zack Snyder film that was not well received at all, but it had hype and it had a lot of word of mouth regardless of whether or not people liked it. And so it's a movie that always sort of stuck around in the periphery, and it's been a long time since I've gotten to see it. So first of all, welcome to the show.
Well, thanks for having me. Yeah, this movie, I believe it according to Wikipedia, it made $10 million above its budget, which is still considered a flop. The Rotten Tomatoes score is low, but there have been petitions to get whatever Zack Snyder's full-on director's cut to be released, but I don't think Warner has any interest in it.
Yeah, at this point, I don't know what their relationship with him is, so I don't know that we're ever going to be able to see something like that. We talked about this being the extended cut that I watched, so I'm curious to see how different it would be.
Yeah, from what I've heard, it's pretty much the ending. And also, Snyder, for the most part, has his deal with Netflix. He's got Rebel Moon coming out, parts 1 and 2. And he's also hinted that, I guess because of Netflix wanting shorter movies, that Rebel Moon will come out in December and I believe May or June as a 2-part film. And then eventually we'll get an extended cut that's an hour longer. That's either they're going to combine it and make it one long 4.5 hour, 5-hour film. I guess I don't know how much people want, or they'll just do Rebel Moon Part 2, the Snyder cut.
Yeah, I remember they were sort of talking to Tarantino about Django Unchained having a 4-part miniseries as well, structured like that. So I'll be curious to see what Zack Snyder's future is going to look like beyond DC now. But as a film fan, like if you could sort of nail down why people think Sucker Punch is a bad movie, like what would you say that is?
I remember reading a lot of criticism, mainly because they think it's sexist. I'm not in one to discuss that. There's also the what you could, I guess, call overuse of slow motion, and that the structure feels a little off, especially if you watch the extended cut. And I believe like the first 5 minutes is all in slow motion, where you have "Sweet Dreams Are Made of This," which Emily Browning, the star of the movie, actually sang. I believe that entire scene is in slow motion. So if you're not a fan of the Snyder, what were
The
if
Snyder way.
the Snyder way or the Snyder look, because I know 300 had was critically acclaimed,
Mhm,
and his Watchmen adaptation was critically acclaimed,
mhm.
mainly because he mainly got to stick with the comic and add his own flair to it. With Sucker Punch, there was no source material. Although you could argue it's a little bit of Alice in Wonderland.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough to say because at the time it came out, I remember sort of looking at it like post 300, like this is going to be similar. And aside from it, like using slow motion and showcasing some action scenes, it's very, very different as a film than 300. And structurally, like the back and forth between
Dreamland,
yeah, exactly, the
Dan,
different
yeah,
worlds that exist.
yeah, and also like the in the extended cut, the first dream slash action scene is not till a half an hour into the movie,
Wow.
and also the extended cut for I I believe I don't know there's a big song and dance number with the Oscar Isaac character Carla or Gugino, and it's "Love Is the Drug," which I believe was also used in what Great Gatsby. Wasn't there a version of that movie too?
I have not seen that Gatsby, the Leonardo one.
Yep.
Yeah, I never watched it.
But yeah, there's like a 5 minute big song and dance number, and then at the end of the movie, that same song and dance number is played over the end credits, minus some of the stuff that was spliced in.
Yeah,
But
and I want to say that like that moment in the movie, it feels like it's building a little bit towards that, like the way that Snyder used music throughout the film. He chose a lot of covers, and then to have, two of your stars perform this musical number, I felt like it was almost trending towards being a musical, but they didn't want to go like full musical. So they incorporated some of the elements, and a lot of the scenes are told to music, but not in the way where the characters are directly, singing the songs all the time.
yep, and apparently the ending, or at least Snyder's original ending, had I'd have to look it up because it's on the soundtrack.
Mm.
And Emily Browning and one of the other characters in full on singing at the end because they've gotten their freedom. So we couldn't put it in the extended cut, or it wasn't fully finished, and they had to release the extended cut for the Blu-ray release in 2 or 3 months, whatever the window was back then.
Hmm. I mean, I guess like in watching it, I almost wanted it to be a full musical at some points because it has a lot of that DNA in place. And then when we did musicals for the film club back in March, and we looked at a variety of different musicals and different styles, I mean, I feel like this has as much musical DNA in it as All That Jazz, which only has one musical number in the whole film, and it happens at the end, but there's still a lot of choreography. The music is used to shape a lot of dancing in the scenes. So I feel like this has like a very theatrical presence to it, like as a stage show translated to the screen. I think it kind of does that pretty well. And I mean, it may be off-putting for people that are coming from Watchmen and coming from 300 to be like, hey, we love Zack Snyder's style. We like that he's telling like these particular types of stories. And then you kind of turn it all upside down. And now it's all female heroines, but it keeps the action in place. But then it's telling these kind of like three parallel narratives all together and not really telling the audience which one we're going to be in at any particular time.
And also the opening is kind of like semi-depressing because it's basically basically baby doll gets kills her father and then gets put away and they threaten to lobotomize her, and I believe there's almost an attempted rape scene at least twice, but it wasn't against her. That was, I believe, the first time she actually speaks in the movie.
Yeah. I was trying to understand, like, so in the beginning she witnesses her, I want to say her stepfather or her father had beaten her sister to death.
I believe that's what the movie implies.
Okay, and then she tries to kill her stepdad or father and shoots him but doesn't kill him, and then he takes her to.
He has her put away.
Gotcha. Okay.
And like a kind of a mental institution.
Yeah, and that's like, I was in my memory of the film, I was like, okay, it's in a mental hospital, and this is some sort of alternate, like, escapist reality that she exists in. But then in watching it, it seems like there's three levels of reality that exist on top of each other. There is like the actual reality. Then there's like the fantasy that she has crafted of the mental institution. And then beyond that, there's like the super fantasy of her and the sword and the guns and all of like the action stuff that we see.
And all the team up. And and you could argue that Scott Glenn could be considered I'm blanking on the term. The term Mr. Exposition.
Yes.
where it's basically his job is to explain the plot and to explain what they all have to do.
Yeah, I like the idea that he and Zack Snyder are friends, and Zack Snyder wrote this role for him to just come in and be like, in case the audience is confused, we're going to have Scotty here walk you through it, because we know there's a lot going on and it may be a little hard to track. So get on the bus and he's going to hold your hand.
And granted, that's kind of like the way he always talks, but you could argue it's a little, maybe not stiff, but like I am like monotone. If you where it's like I'm here because Zack Snyder begged me to do this role, but I'm getting paid, so I'll just show up. I'll get to play these interesting these weird roles. Also, when he's the general, is he supposed to be like a Nazi? Because doesn't he have like the uniform?
Yeah, that's kind of confusing because I think they're fighting.
They're fighting
Nazis.
against they're fighting against the Nazis / Germans, but
maybe he's
I believe
undercover.
it's supposed to. Yeah, I believe it's supposed to be like World War I, because you have the Zeppelin and you have the trenches. Because I don't think the trenches were part of World War II.
Yeah, I don't remember. I know that a lot of World War I films have focused specifically on trench warfare and sort of like the whole mentality behind that. I mean, I think like 1917 was one of those. War Horse was another one fairly recently, and
Kubrick's Patsagori.
Yeah, so you're probably right. So I don't know. Maybe he was like just dressing the part to get them to where they needed to go. But then they're fighting like robots, or I don't know, they're made of like steam or gas or something. And he's even tells them like they're not even people. You can just kill as many as you want, like as as violently as you want. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, pretty much. And also apparently Snyder made the actresses actually do the training and I don't know if you want to call it put in the work, and not just basically let's do it. I mean I'm sure they did most of this on green screen, but it's not of the all right, you're gonna pretend to shoot and then we're going to cut to a stunt person to do it for you. You're going to have to actually put in the work. You're going to have to learn how to shoot guns. You're going to have to learn how to fight. You're going to have to learn how to dance.
Yeah, a lot of the training that I was reading about was surprisingly extensive, but I think it lends itself well to the type of film that they're making here, because you do get to have these actresses in these situations, like you said, without having to go to a stunt double. Like it allowed a certain type of freedom when making creative decisions on how Snyder wanted to film some of these scenes. So I think in the long run, ultimately beneficial, and like interesting to read that when they were shooting that opening scene with Emily Browning, like she couldn't unlearn the gun training. So like she's supposed to not know what she's doing at that point, but she couldn't like unlearn it to shoot the beginning of the film. So interesting little
I wonder if if they would have shot that either near the end of filming, where sometimes because obviously you shoot out of order. Mm-hmm. If that was either shot at, or they did all the gun training and all before film. Well, before filming, and they may or may not have shot that scene towards the end, because a lot of times I guess films want to shoot the beginning scene near the end so that the actors have a grasp of what they're doing, or have a grasp on what kind of film they're making, so that when they go back to the beginning, they know where it's going.
Yeah, that makes sense. And like the beginning of the film kind of like is different than the rest of the film as well. So just in terms of the tone that you want to have, you probably want to do as much of the action shooting as you can while everybody's in that mode, and then we'll go back and shoot the connective tissue and put all that stuff together. But let's go back and let's look at the trailer, because I haven't seen the trailer for this movie in quite some time, and I think this is the theatrical trailer.
Yeah, go ahead. Also, something that are we allowed to talk over the trailer?
Oh yeah, of course. Before we move on, it's time for a quick word from our sponsor. Are you experiencing feelings of melancholia? Are there some feelings of desolation or sadness that you just can't place? Well, you're not alone. But if you're anything like me, it's tough to find the time to prioritize such concerns in our busy lives. Well, not anymore thanks to lobotomies in a blink. All it takes is a little push. Well, that plus a really long stainless steel spike inserted into the brain's frontal lobe via the ocular cavity, and a cute little surgical hammer to give it a little tap-tap-taparoo. But don't bother burdening yourself with the details, because after the procedure, you won't have a care in the world anyway. So, step right up and put your worries to bed with lobotomies in a blink. Side effects may include hallucinations, flights of fancy, fire-breathing dragons, random musical numbers, little manicured mustaches, thinking you can dance, a fascination with samurai swords, cameos from character actors, and lots of slow motion. Consult a physician if any of these conditions last for longer than 2 hours and 7 minutes. And now, back to the show.
Also, what I've noticed too is that, at least in 4K, the opening 5, 10, 15 minutes almost feels like it's in sepia tone. And very little bit in color, and then when you get to the fighting and especially like the big musical number, all the colors just burst out. So, which I assume that was intentional.
Yeah, and since we had talked about that musical number as well, that is featured, like that whole performance in the middle of the film has that going for it too. Like it's big bright reds, blues, glittery costumes and all that. So it's an interesting choice to make. But yeah, like when you're looking at the beginning of this, like it's all slow motion. It's very sort of drained of the majority of its color to, I don't know, maybe it's not dehumanizing is not the right word, but it's definitely meant to give us knowledge.
I had forgotten they used the Led Zeppelin, Let the Leaves Break, or When the Leaves Break, which is not in the movie.
Yeah, surprisingly, because it's got a really good soundtrack.
Yeah. Although I know Led Zeppelin charges a lot of money for it.
Armed guards everywhere, and if Blue finds out, we're dead.
They spent their budget on the commercial for it.
You're afraid, don't me.
reach your own paradise. Just let go.
And do we ever actually see her dance? I don't think so.
I don't think we actually do.
She just does this thing with her shoulders, and then they're in this alternate reality.
And then they imply throughout that she does get to dance.
Yeah, that she's an amazing dancer. In fact,
Yeah.
so amazing that anybody that watches her dance is essentially hypnotized. Yeah, this movie's got a dragon in it. A large army of robots and steam-powered Nazis.
The fifth thing is a mystery. Begin your journey. It will set you free.
I mean, obviously the trailer is like showcasing the stuff that visually looks the best. I mean, you have like a samurai statue with a Gatling gun.
And of course, hyping that it's from the director of Watchmen 300.
Mm-hmm.
And if you watch this trailer, you kind of say it's basically that.
Yeah, I don't like most people probably went into this movie expecting sort of like a relentless action film, and then when it slows down and gets into this real world where, you know, she's the prisoner in this mental hospital. I can see people getting very confused.
Then again, also the beginning of the trailer does kind of hint at that, but also the beginning of the trailer in the actual movie, it takes 5 minutes for that to happen.
Yeah, and it doesn't. It's like it shows you that there is a reality, but I think I guess my assumption going into the movie was that like she's in this place and she needs to escape, but the sort of like action and stuff we see in the escape and all the battles, like all that stuff is actually real, but it turns out that it's not. And this is like a third layer of reality, because I was like struggling to really be like, okay, there's two here. There's one that's very clearly defined as like the fantasy world where she fights with a sword and there's all this crazy shit, dragons, etc. Then there's this other world where Oscar Isaac has like his fancy mustache and he's always wearing like a tuxedo top, and you know it's Carla, glamorized in this way.
And you have Carla Gugino playing the boss, and also with a Russian accent.
Very strange.
The kind of Russian accent where you kind of expect her to say, I want you to go find me Moose and Squirrel.
Yeah,
same with like Jennifer Lawrence and Red Sparrow.
Oh
you half to expect her to say, bring me Moose and Squirrel.
Yeah, Red Sparrow's a whole nother conversation, but yeah, that accent was a struggle for the runtime. But so you've got the crazy fantasy world where like anything goes. You've got the other fantasy world that she sort of glamorized the existence of their psych hospital into like a brothel, I guess.
Yeah, I think the brothel part is where the love is the drug number kind of comes in.
And then we, like at the very beginning, she sits down in the chair and like the needle is about to puncture her eye or go into her brain and give her a lobotomy. And then like the whole rest of the movie unfolds. And then at the very end, we're pulled back and we realize that like the lobotomy is finished. So now we're back in like the base reality where everything's actually taking place.
you could say, was the entire movie a dream?
Yeah, that's a good question.
And I believe this came a year. Inception was 2010, right?
I think so.
So it would have been like a year or so after Inception, but I assume this was in production or in thoughts well before Inception came out.
Yeah, I would have to think so. But looking at how just the way that is structured, where it's sort of like a reality within another reality within another reality. I was trying to sort of piece it together as we're going, like, what is really happening here? Because it seems like at the very lowest end or the bottom rung of the ladder, she is a prisoner of this mental institution. And it seems like they're still being exploited. Oscar Isaac is probably pimping them out in some capacity. Still, it seems that to be the case because
there's also the threat of like the cooks and the big people sexually assaulting and or attempting to rape.
Yeah, so I guess I'm just curious, like where the decision to sort of like glamorize that aspect of it into this more colorful thing where it's like, oh, we're dancing, and then the high roller showing up, and it's like, you know, they're in a nightclub and everybody's dressed well, and like where do you think the creative decision came to sort of like layer that extra piece on top of it between the gritty, disgusting actual reality and then the hyper stylized like super reality?
You'd have to ask. I haven't read too much. Have you seen any interviews where he's discussed this, or
No.
Because this is from the Snyder's mind? So this is, I guess, this also could be him saying, "This is maybe not. This is bad, but this is like the reality for a lot of women of a certain maybe not type." And it's supposed to be like an escapist, because I know he said that this is supposed to be a feminist movie, and I guess that's why a lot of people called it the exact opposite. Because I know this movie does have its fans.
Yeah, are you one of them? Because you brought this to my show.
I am. I actually got to see this in IMAX, and
oh wow,
or IMAX the opening Thursday, and everybody from what I could tell enjoyed it. So the box office didn't really say so. There have been a little bit of reappraisals here and there, but it's nothing loud like say other movies. Like sometimes when a movie hits their anniversary, they'll say, "Oh yeah, this movie wasn't bad. This movie's awesome."
Yeah, I mean, we're still we're not
13 years.
Yeah, so maybe around the time it hits 20, people will look back at it, because like I've watched a handful of films recently where I've heard men describe the movie as feminist, and I'm looking at the movie like I don't necessarily think that's the case, but in terms of Sucker Punch, I would say that this is probably more feminist than those other films that I had watched that were getting the label placed on them. But those other movies were also older, so maybe more time in between, you know.
Well, I guess also because would this be considered a girls kicking ass like subgenre movie?
Yeah, I think so.
And I believe this is the first Snyder movie with a maybe not female, but I was going to say first Snyder movie with a female lead, but original Dawn of the Dead, right? Or no, the remake of Dawn of the Dead.
Yes,
with what's her face? It's now an Oscar winner. It's weird seeing like women talking, and Sarah Polley, where she gets all the praise for the directing, and basically people like me and people of a certain age are like, oh yeah, she's the girl from the Dawn of the Dead remake.
Yeah,
and now she's this big acclaimed director and now an Academy Award winner.
Yeah, I remember her from Splice mostly.
She was in Splice.
That's the one with her and Adrian Brody are like scientists, and they're making like a alien human hybrid creature. Right?
Yeah. That's a little weird one.
Oh, that's definitely a weird one. That might end up on this show at some point. I know people didn't necessarily care for that one too much either.
Didn't that get an F on Cinema Score?
I mean, I would not be surprised, but I don't think it's that bad. But I mean, it's been a while since I've seen it.
Then again, killing the not to jump off topic, but if you want to go, I don't know if you want to call it a bad movie we love, but Andrew Dominik's Killing Them Softly, although I believe the critics score was mid, like in low 70s, high 60s, low 70s. I'd have to look it up. But the audiences fucking hated it.
Wow.
And I believe they gave it an F. cinema score,
That's
and the movie absolutely
Brad Pitt?
flopped. Yep,
I like that movie, but again,
I do too. I love that movie. But I guess audiences sometimes are like, hey, it's a Brad Pitt movie. Oh, hey, Brad Pitt doesn't show up for 30 minutes into the movie. Hey, it's got this you could argue it's got this political agenda. Hey, it just suddenly ends.
Yeah, and it's like a atypical sort of like gangster mafia movie as well. So if you were going into it expecting a traditional mafia film, it's not exactly that
It's
either.
yeah.
So it's doing its own thing, which I appreciate, but I could understand why, the average movie going public didn't like it. But we had sort of glossed over Zack Snyder in general, but we talked about several of his other films and
Well,
uh
he followed this up with some. What was the cartoon he did?
uh
Didn't he do like an anime like Rise of the something something?
oh
And then he did Man of
yeah.
Steel.
Um, you're right. No, Man of Steel was after this, I think, but
Or Man of Steel was his live action follow up.
Legend of the Guardians may have been released in the same year, but it's listed as 2010.
Also, yep,
That's animated. The Owls of Gahule.
I don't know. Also, the writer of this movie, the other writer of this movie,
Mhm.
it's his only credit.
Steve Shibuya.
Yeah, it's his only. I don't know how much of the movie or how much of the movie he co-wrote, or if it's all Snyder and somebody just wrote enough of it to get a credit. But he pretty much has this one credit. So either this movie killed his career. It didn't kill Zack Snyder's because then Warner Brothers gave him the key to the DC universe.
Yeah. So, I mean, that begs the next question. Like in general, like, are you a Zack Snyder fan? And I guess like, how do you feel about like his career as a whole?
I would consider myself a Zack Snyder fan. I would not consider myself in the Zack Snyder cult
Gotcha.
because like the ultimate like Dawn of Justice I don't love. The Snyder cut I still think is too long, and I still think that even if nothing had happened, Warner Brothers still would have made him trim it because
Yeah.
from what I remember happening, something happened in his family. I believe like a family member died, and
Mhm.
he stepped away. And Warner saw this movie at 4 hours and was like, absolutely not. They also remember not Man of Steel, the other one, Dawn of Justice being 2.5 hours, and then the director's cut's 3 hours. So they basically went over and was like, we don't want anything over 2 hours. This movie has to be 2 hours. We can't what you shot can't be done. So and then they brought in Joss Whedon to lighten the mood. And then we got one of the worst superhero movies ever made. What they call the Justice League cut.
And I mean, he's also got one of the best superhero movies made in Watchmen. And
Yeah.
so I understand Watchmen needing to be close to 3 hours because you're taking like a pretty big graphic novel and adapting that, and you want to do it justice, and you're not turning it into a mini series. You don't know if you're going to get like a sequel, so you need the runtime.
Yeah. Also, I believe the theatrical cut is 165 minutes. The director's cut is they added about 25 minutes into it.
Oh wow.
And then also they added there's like a sub comic in between called The Curse of the Owl, I believe. That also has Gerard Butler. That was animated. And there's like an ultimate edition version that's like 217 minutes that splices in the cartoon as well.
Are you a fan of like seeing a director's final vision? Like, because like I guess what it boils down to a lot with Zack Snyder here is that
He'll bow down to the studio masters and we'll be like, all right, fine, I'll make the cuts that you want me to make, but I want to be able to go in and do my own like director's cut. Although like Man of Steel, I don't believe has a direct or he hasn't said anything about like oh my god, the studio butchered my movie.
Yeah, like Man of Steel is an interesting one because I think like I liked it, but there's things that I strongly disliked about it. So it's like an interesting balance.
Superman killing a lot of people.
No, I mean, like, I assume that that's probably happening when Superman fights any other superpowered person, is that there's going to be some people that die. But it was more like, I feel like by the time that Man of Steel rolls around, like, we know Superman's origin story, where I don't need a half an hour of his dad on Krypton acting like
We've
Iron
seen this
Man
before.
and riding a dragon like it's Avatar. I'm like, it's just stealing from like way too many other movies that were popular right before it, in order to sort of like build up a part of the Superman story that really isn't relevant to the rest of it. And then the runtime is like 2.5 hours on that one as well. So you could have had a tight 2 hour movie with Superman. And you saw when they brought back Spider-Man and they cast Tom Holland, like, they don't even retread it. It's just like, yeah, I got bitten by a radioactive spider, whatever. Let's get the movie rolling. So it's like treating the audience with enough, respecting their intelligence enough to know what Superman's story is.
And it's not it's kind of, I guess they wanted to do like a reboot, but I believe General Zod is in Superman in like the Richard Donner movies.
Yeah.
General Zod is in 2. And he's at the beginning of one and then gets shipped off, and then he's mostly in 2.
Yeah. 2 is like his movie.
And I guess Snyder wanted more General Zod.
I mean, look, I don't blame him, because I think Michael Shannon is a very good villain in that film, and I like the story of Zod and sort of being the enemy of his father, and I like all of those things that they did, and it's a more emotionally based Superman than we had gotten in some of the other films to that point, so I like that as well. And then we get to Dawn of Justice, which I think just suffers from some of the same problems, in that it is, when it's good, it's very good. Like just the Batman versus Superman part of that movie is very good.
It just takes 2 hours to get. It just takes 2 hours, and well, actually, no. In the theatrical cut, it takes about an hour and a half. In the director's cut, it takes about 2 hours before the big fight.
Yeah, and then it's like, hey, we're fighting, and then also we're gonna shoehorn in Wonder Woman into this story. Oh, and Doomsday, by the way. So we're gonna like burn through some really good stories in the Superman world and just go through that all very, very quickly here at the end of the film, where it's like the death of Superman, the rise of the Superman, like all that stuff has a lot of legacy behind it. So to sort of reduce it to just a big like free-for-all fight with the 4 of them at the end of the film, it just like, it felt like too much. Like, if you're really building a bigger universe, then just let this be Batman versus Superman, and then we'll get to the next movie down the line. Like, we know it's coming, so you don't have to like make this happen right now.
And also, you could argue that they kind of shoehorned Superman into that story, and or they wanted to do, or I think Snyder wanted to do Dark Knight Returns. And because that's kind of like the big Batman versus Superman fight comic. Also, I like that Michael Shannon basically didn't give a shit when he came back for the Flash.
Yeah, he's like, you know what? Sometimes it's just a paycheck, and Zach gave me his blessing, so it's fine.
Yeah.
Hey, Michael Shannon deserves to get an easy payday here and there as well. But then we go from Dawn of Justice. I mean, obviously, we know what happened with Justice League. But like you said, the Snyder cut of Justice League is 4 hours long.
There is no absolute goddamn way that that if nothing happened, Warner Brothers would still say, hey, this is a great movie. Can you lose an hour? Can you lose maybe an hour and a half? And then we can think about it.
Yeah, it's like, had they broken it up into two halves and done like, hey, we're gonna do the first half of Justice League where they're trying to get to Superman and bring him back, and then that's
the end of part one.
End of part one is they get their asses kicked by Superman and he leaves, and then part two is all right. Well, we have to fight without Superman, and then he shows up at the end, saves the day. Like at least like that makes some sense, but to be the filmmaker. And I guess when there was enough fan demand behind the Snyder cut, it was like, it doesn't matter if it's 8 hours long at that point. Like the people that want to see it are going to sit down and watch it, maybe not in one sitting, but
basically with the Snyder cut demand, it was all right, fine. We know we screwed him over. And also we got a pandemic going on and we're not going to have to put this in theaters. Let's just let Zack do whatever he wants to do. And if it's 6 hours long, oh well.
Yeah, and it's like let's put
in every deleted scene, and also every cut scene. And also, Snyder said that there was absolutely no Joss Whedon footage in his cut.
That makes sense. And his vision is darker, like overall physically, it's not as bright as Whedon's Justice League.
Well, also I like too that. Do you remember not this kind of straight off topic, but do you remember the whole mustache gate?
Oh yes,
from the Justice League, where basically Paramount said, Henry Cavill was doing Mission Impossible, one of the Mission Impossible movies, and he was still in the middle of filming, and then they told him, "Hey, you need to come back for Justice League reshoots." And Paramount's like, well, no, he has this mustache and he cannot shave it. And I guess Warner was like, all right. And then they badly CGI'd out his mustache.
Yeah, look, credit to Paramount, though, for just being so petty that they're like, screw you, he's not shaving his mustache. If you want to deal with it, you have to spend money.
I believe he did it
to
on
CGI it out.
I believe he did it on break because remember how Tom Cruise broke his ankle?
Yeah.
I believe Cavill did his little cameo with the mustache during breaks or during a break of that.
Yeah, and the result was we got Shrek face Superman. But also, like, it makes more logical sense that if Superman is still alive and he was buried like clean shaven and then they dig him up after a while, that his facial hair would have grown. So it just didn't you should have had him pop out of the ground looking a little scraggly and not like the Clark that went into the casket. So just leave the mustache and get a whole beard going with it.
Also, going back to Sucker Punch for a minute.
Yeah, apparently, let's get back on.
Yeah. Apparently, this movie also had an almost cast where Amanda Seyfried was almost Baby Doll, but I think she was busy.
Yeah, and I believe interesting names attached.
I believe I saw Emma Stone was attached at one point.
Yeah, I think in hindsight, like if you're talking about stuff like reappraisal, I think in the wake of. She won the Oscar, right, for La La Land?
Emma Stone, yeah.
Yeah, so like in the wake of her popularity exploding and her being an Oscar winner, I think a movie where she was the lead that was underappreciated at the time, like if it were her, people would be more inclined to go back and revisit her older work post-Oscar and check that kind of stuff out, where this has a really good cast, though, with, Oscar Isaac and Carla Gugino and Jena Malone and Vanessa Hudgens and Abby Cornish, Jamie Chung, John Hamm, Scott Glenn. So it's like, this is a really well cast film that isn't like bursting with like top tier A-list talent, but in hindsight, it's like
they put in the work.
They did. And you look at like Oscar Isaac, his career has gone on to be huge after this,
and when I tweeted out the other day that I was rewatching this, I basically said, "Hey, I'm rewatching the movie where Oscar Isaac gets to sing and dance, but it's not Inside Llewellyn Davis, and it's not Ex Machina."
Yeah, I saw that, and I was like, oddly enough, this role for him, he's in a mental institution that has mixed realities, which is basically a similar premise to what was going on when he did Moon Knight. Was it last year, the year before?
Moon Knight was, I want to say last year.
Yeah, it sounds about right.
And apparently Brie Larson would have been post Scott Pilgrim audition, but they didn't say which part she was up for.
But yeah, you mentioned that musical number, and we had talked about it a little bit, but that's Oscar Isaac singing, right?
Absolutely. On the soundtrack, it's both Oscar Isaac and Carla Gugino.
Yeah, I mean, I really enjoyed that, and my fiance is a big fan of musicals, and we go see, like stage shows at the local theater out here. And so when it was happening, I was like, is that Vanessa Hudgens? Because I was like trying to I was like, I think you might like this if you watched it, because it's not really her type of thing. But I was like, hey, it's got a lot of like style. There's a big musical number. She likes Vanessa Hudgens, so I was like, all right, maybe there is some room here. So I was like, hey, take a look at like this scene in the movie where like everything is bursting with color. There's dance numbers, exotic costumes. I was like, this part's great.
Did she bail? Did she watch the whole thing with you?
She didn't start it with me, so I got her attention, and I was like, I think you might like this if we give it a chance at some point in the future. But now that I own it, I can watch it whenever I want.
Yeah, but yeah, that musical number is something.
Yeah,
and they replay it at the end of the movie too.
I mean, yeah, you got to get your money's worth out of that because it's so good. I mean,
although in the theatrical cut, that scene is not in the movie. In the theatrical cut, Love is the Drug is only at the end.
Interesting. Because I think like watching the extended cut, it's kind of like this weird moment in the film where like obviously the reality is like getting further and further away from where we started. And I see it and I'm like, okay, like where did he get this little like fancy mustache and jacket from? I was like, did I miss that? I was like, all right, well, just let me watch it and see what happens. And it's like this very well produced musical number. And I get that if you present this to the studio and you're saying, hey, it's like steampunk action film, and then there's a very like out of place musical number in the middle of it, then maybe you want to cut that.
And also, this big elaborate almost 5-minute musical number is before any of the fantasy action scenes that we have sold this movie and sold the trailer on. And it's like, yeah, that probably won't really fit, because then you'll say, wait a minute, did I just walk into a musical? I thought this was a Zack Snyder slam bam action movie with a lot of slow motion. What's this music number?
Yeah, and it's kind of like it's an interesting just comment on like creativity as a filmmaker, because like we were accustomed to the stuff that had come before this. It's like we approach this as the audience as wanting to see a certain type of thing. It's like when you listen to a musical artist that is evolving, right? And it's like, oh, I love their first 2 albums, and then hey, they're on albums 3 and 4, and their sound is changing, and it's like not the sound. It's not the sound that I got into, but they have to evolve to keep growing the audience and like improving as musicians,
and or pissing off the people that started, i.e. Smashing Pumpkins with Ava Adore. Because Smashing Pumpkins started as like a post-grunge band, almost all rock and roll, and then on their 3rd album, 4th album, Billy Corgan's like, yeah, I'm not into the whole rock thing anymore, or rock and roll, or the post-grunge sound is kind of for me. So the entire album with Ava Adore on it is a lot of dance electronica, a lot of that 9 Inch Nails kind of sound. It divided the fan base of the band, and eventually they kind of went back to it. You could argue same with Radiohead, where Kid A is not OK Computer.
Yeah. I mean, do you prefer like not just music, but like in general, do you prefer like the artist that you like to sort of
stay the same?
Yeah.
I listen to a lot of heavy metal.
Okay.
And a lot of the so-called screaming stuff.
Mhm.
And I am not a fan of when bands try to stop the screaming in order to. I can understand if it's to prolong their vocalist's voice, but I'm not a fan of when they try to do it to appease radio.
Mm.
Because what's also funny is that bands will do that, but they'll still have one or two screaming songs on the album. So there will be people that will hear let's just say Trivium do a non-screaming song, and they'll play it on the radio, and it'll get some play on like whatever the mainstream rock station is, and then when they buy the album, it's like "Rah, rah, rah, rah," and then everybody, and then the people that don't like the screaming stuff, it's like, what's all this screaming stuff? But
Yeah.
they have to they have to please the fan base. Most bands that try to abandon screaming, like I think like A Day to Remember, for the most part have abandoned it. They'll always put one or two songs on there. It's like, fine, this is for our older fan base, but we don't like this music anymore.
Yeah.
The Smashing Pumpkins kind of do it, where like Billy Corgan's like, I don't like rock music. I want to do my own crazy weird thing, but the fans, the people want to hear the rock stuff, so I'll put one or two rock songs on on the next Pumpkins album, and those are usually the best songs on the album.
Yeah, and it's a weird position for bands because it's like a more collaborative thing where you've got probably multiple musicians within the group who are like, hey, I like playing the music that we want to play, but our lead singer wants to write different music, stuff like that. But
Like, do you see Snyder maybe not evolving, but essentially doing different? Because remember, his first movie was a horror movie,
mhm.
and a very a well received horror movie, and then he went and did his own thing.
Yeah,
And
I
if I remember correctly, there is not a lot of slow motion in Dawn of the Dead.
no, not from what I remember. But I will ask you then, how did you feel about Army of the Dead?
I don't think I ever watched it.
Okay, fair enough.
I will eventually, but when it came out, I apartment, you couldn't watch it with like full on surround sound, and anytime I feel like watching it, it's like it's 2.5 hours. I want to watch something short.
Yeah, I know. It's like I typically don't sit down to watch a movie until it's like after 9:30. So I'm like, all right, shit, what is 2 hours or less? And then I spend half an hour scrolling, and I'm like, now I'm screwed. All right.
And then you look. It's like I want to watch that. What's the runtime? 2 hours and 20 minutes. Fuck.
Yep.
There, that movie's 90 minutes. Reads. Oh yeah, that movie's depressing as fuck. I don't want to watch that.
Yep.
And then by the time you're done scrolling, it's like, oh, I want to watch that. Looks at the time. Oh, it's 11 o'clock at night. God damn it.
Yeah, I'll get to watch the first like 40 minutes before I pass out, and then I'll see if I want to finish it the next day.
Yep. Also, before I forget, this Sucker Punch is what got me into Bjork.
I can see why.
Because I don't remember if I saw Dancer of the Lars von Trier's Dancer in the Dark before Sucker Punch. I may have, but it didn't lead me into let's go through Bjork's discography and become a fan. This is what made me become a fan.
Yeah, and I think it speaks to sort of what I was saying earlier about like the musical quality of this film, where it's like when that song comes on, it is like telling the story of what we're seeing on screen in a way that very much reflects sort of the spirit of musicals. And then the reason that I asked you sort of about like the question about like artists changing over time is because in watching this, it felt to me like Sucker Punch is essentially two movies that are sort of like stitched together at key points,
where Snyder kind of wants to do away with or wants to try something else, and then kind of gets, I don't know, but you want to say forced, because he directs the hell out of these scenes.
Yeah,
and then so it's like, hey, my audience wants to see people kicking ass and shooting guns and a fuck ton of slow motion.
Yeah, and it's like that all exists as like one thing, and you could trim out like all of sort of the fantasy action stuff and put that together and have it be a cohesive start to finish story. And then you take this story of this young woman who was abused, who ends up in this mental institution where she continues to get abused, and it's a very different movie that's a lot darker and a lot more serious, but it seems like the DNA for that idea is
It's still there.
Yeah.
And all, yeah, pretty much. If we ever got to see Baby Doll do a full on dance, like we're like the movie kind of teases, that's kind of that. If Snyder wanted to do a musical or remake the movie in 10 years with a different cast and basically say, I'm not doing action scenes, I'm doing the movie, but where instead of the big action scene, we actually get like a big dance number.
That's a good point. And I would be curious if you were to take sort of like the baseline story of the mental institution, the abuse that's going on there, all that stuff, make it its own film, make a companion film that is all of the fantasy action, and sort of do it as a double feature rather than them coexisting in the same movie. If they just have more room to breathe as individual ideas, and if it's more well received, like I don't know how much is left in the director's cut, right?
You've got Snyder has been asking Warner, hey, that the extended cut was not my director's cut. That was just rushed in. And if Warner, I don't think there's enough demand. But if he gets in this good graces with Warner Brothers again, and or James Gunn wants him to do something, they've claimed that David Ayer, we might get an Ayer cut of Suicide Squad. Which apparently his cut is very, very. Did you ever see the Comic-Con trailer?
Maybe back when it first launched, but it's not stepping to the front of my mind.
It's very, very different from the version that we saw. It's much more darker and sinister,
which you would expect from Ayer.
Yeah, and then I guess Warner didn't want to go that route, so they made him change a bunch of stuff, and we got the mess that we got.
Yeah, well, I mean, hopefully with the kind of like the cost saving measures that Warner is trying to get into right now, like it may be more financially feasible to sort of milk whatever money is available in releasing director's cuts than financing $250 million movies that flop, so maybe there's some hope out there for stuff like that.
Well, hey, Barbie made a fuck ton of money and is their number one. I believe it's considered their number one highest grossing film of all time, adjusted for inflation. And that movie only cost $100 million to $150.
And they spent it well. So I mean, that
all of that
is a lot about Greta Gerwig.
Yeah, all of that is on the screen. It's not like The Flash, where it's like, where did some of this money go up up noses, or to protect Ezra Miller?
Maybe,
or the Ezra Miller defense fund.
Yeah, I mean, because some of that, like the CGI choices, trying to defend that is like, no, this was intentional. It's like, no, it was not. Don't lie to us. This is horrible. You thought Superman's mustache was bad.
Wait till you see.
Get a look at this guy's face.
Or wait till you see that. Like I saw I haven't watched. I know it's on HBO Max, but I haven't watched it.
The Flash.
Yeah, I might, but then again, it's like it's 2.5 hours. Do I really, really, really want to see? I mean, Michael Keaton's my favorite Batman of all time. He is my We're granted that he's the one that I grew up with, but do I really want to see him return for one more paycheck?
His part of it is good, but there's a lot of it around it that doesn't add up. But I feel like the one thing that I took away from The Flash mostly was that we were long overdue to embrace Michael Keaton's Batman again. Like we went so far away from it, and it's like everybody else has to be Batman. It's like, where was the energy to bring Michael Keaton back as Batman, like when it actually maybe would have mattered,
And he had 2 additional performances as Batman Bruce Wayne that we'll never see. Because apparently, because Batgirl, we all know, got canceled and we'll never see the light of day. And apparently he shot a cameo for Aquaman 2. And apparently they didn't want to go that route. apparently there have been like 3 sets of reshoots for Aquaman under 3 separate studio heads because the
Wow.
first one was they were gonna bring in Michael Keaton, do like a little bit. Then that one studio head got fired. Then they brought in somebody else. I believe that I forget who this was. And it's like, let's bring in Affleck. Let's have Affleck's Batman do something. And then they saw that James Gunn saw that. It's like, no, we don't want to tie it into the Snyderverse. So he's gone.
Yeah, the way that like just the general like DCEU
It's
dropped
a
the
mess.
ball. Yeah,
It's an
like
absolute mess.
I get that they wanted to do things like differently, but the reason that the MCU worked is because they built the foundation for it slowly and they didn't try to, make the Avengers the second movie in the MCU. They took their time. They built towards that. And I was like, look, if you're DC, just copy the playbook. Just do the exact same thing. Like get your starting heroes in there, introduce them one by one. Like the fact that we're going to bring in Ben Affleck's Batman and not have a solo Batman film for him was just like, we don't care enough to do it. And that was a problem. But in terms of sort of like what Sucker Punch, I think, represents for Zack Snyder is like his creative vision outside of like proven source material that like really speaks to like who he is as a filmmaker, because this is a movie that wanted to tell this darker story about like I guess it's sex trafficking, and he had to do it in a way that still like tried to appeal to the audiences that had watched 300, that had watched Watchmen. So it put him in a very difficult position. And then when you have these two different competing worlds and you sort of like go out of your way to make very clear that the world where all the action, all the fighting, all the violence is happening is not real, then it's like, well, why are we watching like an hour of that in slow motion if none of it's real? Because you have this real story underneath all of this that you're not spending time with in order to bring us all of this action that, like, I guess you probably think that people want.
And also remember the actual plot of where the Scott Glenn character basically is like, you need to get a map, you need to get a key, you need to get this, you need to get that, and then you'll be free.
Yeah.
When they go into the real world, Baby Doll actually tells them, "Hey, we need a map, we need a key, we need this, and we need that."
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. I'm on the Wikipedia page.
Mm.
It says Legendary Pictures reportedly attributed the movie's failure to becoming a box office hit to movie audiences not accepting a female action hero.
I mean, like, if this were made in 1960, maybe, but I mean, you're coming like Ripley and Aliens before this, Sarah Connors before this, Mila Jovovich and Fifth Elements before this.
And the Resident Evil movies.
Yeah.
Although you could argue that, granted, it was under who was involved, but we never really got a Black Widow movie until 10, 15 years after, or until well after her character was introduced.
Yeah.
Apparently, there were talks of doing a Captain Marvel movie way earlier than it happened, but apparently the guy that was involved in it didn't think women didn't want like a women's superhero movie.
I mean,
like,
look, I understand. I mean, unfortunately, it's kind of the way things are.
I mean, eventually we got one because we had Furiosa in several years later, which I believe no, Legendary didn't have anything to do with Furiosa. That was a different production company. But we had that and Atomic Blonde, and eventually we got there.
Yeah, it just seems like for a movie like this at the time that it came out to sort of be like putting that foot forward was a good thing in 2011, or what was this? Yeah, it was 2011.
2010.
Right? 2010. So yeah, I mean, it's really not that long ago. And maybe, I mean, I don't know that I had seen Emily Browning in anything before this, but it's like, okay, I know the majority of the other cast.
Like Jena Malone was known for Donnie Darko.
Mm-hmm.
Had Oscar Isaac been in anything major before this? I
Before
mean, I
this?
don't.
That's a good question.
I mean, I don't really want to say that Sucker Punch is considered his breakout role because I think a lot of times it's of the when people go back and rewatch it, it's like, oh yeah, it's actually there's Oscar Isaac.
I mean,
It's
like, I
not.
think he was the lead in Nativity Story, but like that wasn't a movie
Nobody's
that,
nobody
yeah,
nobody saw
exactly.
that.
It's like he
Jo-
has some other credits, but I think this is the first one where you would like watch it and then sort of like take
oh
notice.
yeah,
He was in Born, one of those sequels.
and I thought what Zack Snyder has said in retrospect. I'm always shocked it was so badly misunderstood. The movie. I always said that this was a commentary on sexism and geek culture. Someone asked me, "Why
Yeah,
did you film the girls this way?" And I'd say, "Well, you did. Sucker Punch is a fuck you to a lot of people that will watch it."
interesting. I mean, I like that though, because I don't think he's wrong, and I think the movie's failure actually proves his point. But I don't know at what point in its history that he decided to say that. But like, if you
I mean,
are
you have
a
to,
fan
and
of his from 300 and Watchmen, you go into this and you don't like it. It's like, well, what's different about it that you don't
well,
like? And it's like, oh, it's all female led.
also, if the whole all the female characters look like sex objects, which I've heard. If you watch 300, all the men are shirtless, and
Yeah,
and are like their muscles are clearly
they're wearing
shown.
speedos. Yeah, I mean the male body is objectified in 300 as much, if not more, than what we see of the female body in Sucker Punch.
And apparently, Snyder. I guess he was contemplating on whether to do this with a male cast.
Mm.
I think you'd have to change the story completely. And he basically said, "I've done a movie with an all male cast. I want to do something with an all female cast," and that's what he came up with.
Yeah, and for the most part, like, I do think that this movie is maybe held back a little bit by its rating. Like the fact that it's PG-13, I feel like it should be R.
The version you watched and the extended cut is actually rated R.
Because of that one scene with John Hamm, that's not even something that I would be like, this is rated R.
Apparently, they thought that the move that it showed too much or was too aggressive, and apparently when Snyder decided he wanted to cut because he still wanted to see it in the movie,
Mm-hmm.
and when they cut it down a bit, it made it seem like John Hamm character was taking advantage of her. And so it's like that's not the point I wanted to make. And so he cut the scene altogether.
Yeah, I mean, I could understand that, at least from Zack Snyder's perspective, not wanting to have like this false version of this important scene in there. But just like in watching it, I feel like it wants to be rated R.
But yeah, that's that. This cut was rated R, and that's the main reason. Apparently, I like movie censorship. Great site, by the way. I'm not involved in it. Has like the differences, and there are a few like bullet hits or blood sprays during some of the action scenes, but it's not a lot. I believe the scene at the beginning where Baby Doll slashes her father in the face.
Mhm.
There's a tad bit more blood.
I mean, I didn't find this to be like a particularly bloody or gory movie at all, and they go out of their way to make these robots for them to kill.
From what I remember, this movie was shot as a PG-13, but because of the scene near the end with John Hamm, it got an R. So he cut it out of the movie, and when they released the A directors or an extended cut, that's the version you couldn't see in theaters.
Gotcha. How do you feel about doing some trivia?
All right, go for it.
Time for trivia. You seem like you studied up, so let's see. Let's go. Trivia time. All right, question number 1. So you had already mentioned that Emily Browning sang one of the songs, but how many song credits does she have total on the soundtrack?
I believe it's technically two. It's on the soundtrack. It's Sweet Dreams, and she has a song on the soundtrack at the end, which was supposed to be the original ending, but it's not the original, but it's not in the either cut of the movie. So technically two.
Technically two, and then she's featured on "Where Is My Mind," which is a cover.
Yeah, Pixies.
Yeah.
Where
So
and also the song at the end of Fight Club.
yes, correct. Right song. Different artist for this movie, but that is
Yeah.
the correct song. Okay, so question number 2 then. The film represents two different firsts for a Zack Snyder film. What are those two firsts?
The first all female led movie, and technically the first PG-13.
Correct. It's slightly different, but you're right that it is his first all-female led movie, but it's also his first film that was not an adaptation.
Ah,
And
oh
yes,
yeah, because 300 comic, Watchmen comic, Dawn of the Dead remake.
Yep. And it was also his first film that was not rated R, as you mentioned. So,
Well, the extended cut is rated R because
technicality.
the MPAA is the MPAA sucks.
Yeah, not great, to be honest. And I tend not to understand certain rating systems.
Has Rebel Moon gotten a rating yet?
I don't know, because if is it going straight to Netflix?
It is, but usually their movies get some sort of MPAA, or the movies that they have something to do with, or that are thinking of getting theatrical release, get a rating. Judging by the Rebel Moon trailer, it wouldn't surprise me if it's rated R.
Yeah, TVMA or whatever they're going to call it.
TVMA. 2 parts.
Okay, so question number 3. I think you had mentioned this to me yesterday too, but how far into the movie is it before our main character has a line of dialogue?
Almost 17 to 18 minutes, depending on the cut you're watching.
Yep, about 18 minutes. So ding ding, right on the head on that one. And I think one of the more interesting things about the trivia that I was reading,
and
was
also
like,
the first fantasy scene in the extended cut is not until about 28 to almost a half an hour into the movie. If you remove the love is a drug number, it's about maybe 25 minutes.
Yeah, and that's a long time to push back action for a director who has sort of
who is almost infamous for it.
Yeah, and who probably, got the kind of financial support to make this film based on the strength of those action films that had come before it. But it was interesting and also sad to see that, I think Jena Malone was like, she wanted to retire after this because the movie was so ill received. And I think Emily Browning also was thinking about retiring from acting until she ran into Zack Snyder. So to see that, like, it meant so much to the people that were involved in it, and that
it seems like
its failure.
Yeah, it seems like that the actresses look fondly upon the movie,
yeah,
or at least publicly. It's in other words, this is not one of those movies where somebody brings it up to somebody like, oh no, that movie fucking was terrible.
Yeah.
Like David from Stranger Things. I'm blanking on his last name. He said the Hellboy movie was terrible.
Oh, David Harbour.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, he signed the contract to do that movie. they didn't need to make another Hellboy movie. And if you were going to, like, Ron Perlman's still with us, just go back to the guy who is Hellboy.
And I guess Guillermo didn't want to do it.
Yeah, I understand.
Well, actually, hasn't Guillermo said he wanted to do a Hellboy 3? But
that's a good question. I don't know. He's into miniature model making now, so.
Well, I believe he's doing a Frankenstein adaptation.
Okay. I know he had mentioned that he wants to do more animated films as well. So I think that's interesting turns. And it kind of goes back to that thing we were talking about before of, like, artists that we like veering off of the path of, their tried and true audience. But I like it when a guy like Guillermo is, like, in a position in his career where he can just do the thing that he wants to do.
Also, Scorsese, because he's known for the violent action movies, but he can still do Hugo. you can still do Age of Innocence, which put me to sleep, by the way. But yeah, King of Comedy.
Yeah.
People mock him for like, oh, he only does action movies, he only does gangster movies, but he's been willing to do more than that.
Yeah, Bringing Out the Dead is maybe my favorite Scorsese movie, and that's not like any of the other ones. Super weird. But yeah, like Jamie Chung said this was her favorite of her own films. Vanessa Hudgens was very complimentary about this, being excited to do something that was outside of the realm of High School Musical as well. So,
And then she followed it up with Spring Breakers.
I still have never seen that.
You've never seen Spring Breakers?
Nope.
Oh man, it's a lot.
All right, well,
well, also
it's Harmony Korine,
that,
right?
Yep. Well, also that movie also it wasn't critically savage, but audiences fucking hated it because they were under the auspices of, oh, this is you got the girl from Pretty Little Liars, you got Selena Gomez, and you got Vanessa Hudgens in a raunchy R-rated sex or like an R-rated raunchy movie. Let's go see that. And then it's an artsy movie and very weird.
All right, well, I'll have to give it a chance, but we had watched Beach Bum for film club recently, and
I take it you didn't like it.
I tried. I watched it twice, and I was like, maybe it'll be better the second time, and I'll be fair and give it another chance. Like, I still didn't like it. I liked it more the second.
I'm not a big fan of Beach Bum either. I love Spring Breakers, but Beach Bum is a little overindulgent.
Yeah, just a tad.
Just a tad.
I know, it's like if it were a buddy movie with like McConaughey and Snoop and they're like on some weird adventure, I feel like, okay, I could probably like get into that. And I felt like all the characters around him were characters I wanted to watch more than him. And people are
they brought in Martin Lawrence for Christ's sakes.
Mm-hmm. I know, Captain Jack or whatever.
Yeah. It's like I wouldn't mind seeing more of him, but it's only a cameo.
Yeah, and I mean, it's kind of same thing with Zac Efron. Like, he's one of the more entertaining characters in the film, and he's in and out, and then they're back on the road for Moondog to get home. But you know what? That's a whole different conversation where, like, I put myself through it already twice, and I was like, look, I liked it more the second time, so I would like it probably more a third time if I watch it. I just don't want to.
But do you want to watch it the third time?
No, I don't. No offense to Harmony Korine. I mean, I liked Kids a lot. And this just did
you ever see Trash Hoppers or Gumbo?
No, I have not. No, I've heard.
Good.
Yeah,
Good.
I've heard people speak a lot about Gummo.
Terrible. But hey, Spring Breakers will always be there.
It's on my watch list, and I just need to like sit down and pull the trigger. But since we're talking about what people thought of movies and not liking movies, it's time to go to Critics Corner, and we get to check out all of the horrible reviews that people wrote about Sucker Punch, and we're gonna get a firsthand look at exactly what critics had to say.
I read Mark Kermode absolutely hated it.
Yeah, well, he's not the only one, because we're starting with the Chicago Tribune. And that's Michael Phillips, who gave it a 0. Only a few movies that have been on this show have actually had zeros attached to them. But he says, Snyder must have known in pre-production that his greasy collection of near-rape fantasies and violent revenge scenarios disguised as a female empowerment fairy tale wasn't going to satisfy anyone but himself.
I've heard a lot of people say that, or at least the people that don't like the movie.
Yeah, it's like, I don't know. The movie that I watched last night didn't feel to me like a rape fantasy. I mean, it felt like these women were in a horrible position and they're trying to get themselves out of it. So to me, it's rape fantasy.
I mean, it's not like The Idol.
Yeah.
I mean, well, then again, also RIP The Idol.
Here I was thinking I was never going to have to hear about it again.
2023 to 2023, RIP.
Very, very short-lived. Let's see what's next on this list. We can go All right, the next highest score, or excuse me, the next lowest score is the New York Times, and that's A.O. Scott gave it a 10 out of 100. It says there's nothing here to enjoy beyond
Well,
the tiny satisfaction in noting that the movie lives up to its name.
Didn't A.O. Scott like quit Twitter
Oh, I don't know. That's a good
made
question.
because people made fun of him? Give me a minute. Give me a minute. I'll look it up.
Yeah, no problem. I mean, if these are the kind of like movie takes that were getting put out on Twitter, like Twitter can be a brutal place. So I wouldn't be surprised if you put something like that out and then got savaged for it and decided to retire.
Scott left his role as a film critic in March 2023. About his departure, he said, "I have found that a way that I have practiced has gotten harder to do. Also, I'm feeling a disconnection between critic and the audience feels so much stronger, and the gut feels much wider." Essentially, when when he did a hot take that people didn't like, people shat on it, and he's very thin skinned,
Yeah.
and I guess didn't like it.
Well, because before social media, like people would have to take time to like write a letter and mail it into the New York Times to tell you suck. Now it's like, oh, I posted this on Twitter and everyone's telling me I suck. Maybe I'm not too good at this. I'll hang it up.
Did Roger Ebert get to review this? Because I know he was
No.
still alive at that point.
He didn't get a chance to review this, but I always read Roger when he's available. But Movie Line. This was my mom's magazine. So I mean, she didn't own it, but she was the general manager for Movie Line. So I'm surprised that it's on here. It's the first time I've ever seen Movie Line on here, but they gave it a 30 out of 100. So that's
who was the critic?
I don't know. It's not listed. So tough to say. I would have to like do way more digging. But it says Punch manages to cram more slow motion into its first few minutes than a season of NFL highlights. All of Inception and every one of those NBC promos where the cast of whatever failing police procedural walk menacingly towards the camera. So look, as much as this is a savage teardown of this movie,
you go for the slow motion. The slow motion is Zack Snyder's core,
and at least that review had a sense of humor in what it was saying. But we were climbing the charts, and we've arrived at the 40 out of 100 section, where we've got the Hollywood Reporter, Variety, or the Village Voice. So I'll let you pick which one you want to go with.
What was it? O&G that did the Variety review?
No, it's not listed again. Hiding in plain sight.
Go with Variety.
All right, Variety, uncredited review here says, like Quentin Tarantino, Snyder is unapologetic about his influences. The trashier, the better. Though he's far less skilled in the art of pastiche. So basically calling him a knockoff wannabe Tarantino is not very flattering, but surprisingly much higher scored than the other people that have reviewed it so far.
I'm on Rotten Tomatoes, and that's Peter DeBruge.
Okay, Peter. You think you could hide from us, but
and
Ryan's
also that the Hollywood Reporter is famed douchebag Todd McCarthy.
Yep, he's cited at least. I can see his name, so he doesn't get to hide. And then let's see. Next is the AV Club. Nathan Rabin. He says Browning has wildly expressive eyes and body language, but she turns wooden when delivering Snyder and Steve Shibuya's alternately purple and stilted banter. Like the film, she seems to regard plot and dialogue as necessary evils. I mean, like she doesn't talk for the first 20 minutes of the film. Like it's not a movie that's about her dialogue. So it's a weird criticism when most of what she is doing is like physical and
it's supposed to be
emoting.
like that.
Yeah, it's supposed to be like that. So he's missing the point. But he still scored it higher than everybody else so far. So go figure. And then we arrive at the highest score on the board, and that's an 80 from the Los Angeles Times, and that's Betsy Sharkey. So it's the first lady that we have on the review board here. She says, a wonderfully wild provocation, an imperfect, overlong, intemperate, and utterly absorbing romp through the id that I wouldn't have missed for the world. Hey, you know what?
And I think over long, and the theatrical cut was only 110 minutes.
Right.
So it's not it's shorter than 300. It's shorter than Watchmen.
Oh yeah, it's not as long as like his biggest epics at all. And so even though she accepts it as being maybe overlong here, she still gave it an 80 out of 100. So definitely the most flattering.
Would you like me to read one of the positive reviews
Yeah, sure, go for it.
from somebody from The Age from Australia? Heaven help us if we're supposed to feel guilty about watching hot chicks kick ass with guns ablazing, especially if the spectacle involves fire-breathing dragons. 3.5 out of 5.
Hey, there you go. That's a good one. Who is that?
Jim, I can't pronounce his name.
Jim from
So-
Australia. Good
Jim
job.
from Australia. The Age
Okay.
is his. He also in his because on Rotten Tomatoes you can go through. When you click their name, they have their most recent
Mhm.
reviews,
Oh, this will be
and
interesting.
he gave the Haunted Mansion redo a 1 out of 5.
Oh,
He
okay.
gave Equalizer 3 a 3 out of 5. He gave Sound of Freedom 3. I don't.
Been lost at Sound of Freedom.
He hated Asteroid City. I hated Asteroid City, so he's tight with me.
Got to balance it out with Sound of Freedom, but
Yeah.
you take what you can get here. But yeah, the overall Metascore is only a 33 for Sucker Punch, even though the user ratings for it's like a 6 out of 10. I'm not looking at Letterboxd, but I imagine that it's probably in the neighborhood of like a 2.5 to 3-star film.
The Voodoo rating is, I think, a 4.25 out of 5.
Okay, that's pretty
which
good.
is a lot higher than usual.
Mhm.
I believe the Rotten Tomato audience score is like 43, but also I believe that was also people who saw it when it came out,
Mm.
and people haven't been willing to go back and rewatch it and put their take in.
Well, I was curious, so I looked it up on
The
Letterboxd.
IMDb score is 6 out of 10.
And Letterboxd has it as a 2.7, which, like I said, I think is probably between a 2.5 and a 3, and that kind of lands it smack dab in the middle. But it does have
Also
a lot of ratings.
Also in semi amusing form on IMDb, at least, Sucker Punch has a higher rating than Army of the Dead.
As it
I am
should,
not
I think.
I am not kidding. Army of the Dead is a 5.8 and Sucker Punch is at a 6.
In fairness, I would probably have a wider gap between the two, but I understand. Like Army of the Dead, it's not like it's bad. It's just I just trying to understand like why he made it. And it's like if he's just like having fun and that's the only reason for the movie to exist, then like that's okay. You know? I'm not against having fun when you watch movies.
But is Army of, let me see if Army of, I would assume Army of the Dead would be his lowest rated movie.
Yeah, that'd be a tough question. I would think so, yeah. Dawn of the Dead was first, right?
Yeah, Dawn of the Dead is a 7.3 on IMDb. 300's a 7.6. Watchmen's a 7.6. The Legend of the Guardian, the Owls of Kahui is a 6.9. 69, nice. Sucker Punch is a 6. Man of Steel is a 7.1, which is surprising given how much a lot of people didn't like it. Dawn of Justice is 6.5. The Justice League cut is 6.1. The Snyder cut is a 7.9. And Army of the Dead is a 5.8.
Well, there you go. Army of the Dead is the low man on the totem pole, but like honestly, like if you're just going into it for like fun, it's like a heist movie in the zombie apocalypse, so don't set your expectations too high maybe, but yeah, just as a
Well, also it was
like you said, as a fan,
it was like pandemic fodder because it came out right in the middle of the pandemic.
I know it was kind of like an awkward thing where like if this was sort of event cinema where Zack Snyder's Army of the Dead and they put it out in theaters and you do it around like Halloween or something, or maybe put it in the spring and start early in the year where there's not a lot of competition, it maybe is a very, very different response to it. But releasing it straight to Netflix like during the pandemic is a tough sell.
Well, also Netflix doesn't like movie theaters.
Yeah, not anymore. Didn't they buy one though? I thought they
Yeah,
bought the one that they're refurbishing here in LA.
but that's for like artsy fartsy movies. That's for their artsy fartsy movies.
It's so that they can guarantee theatrical releases for the stuff that they want to win Oscars.
Yep. So pretty much because Ryan Johnson pissed and moaned enough. Knives Out 2 Glass Onion got semi-wide theatrical release with help of AMC and Cinemark and Regal, but only for a week. Apparently they wanted, Ryan Johnson wanted longer. Everybody wanted longer, but Netflix was like, nah, we're gonna put it in a week before Thanksgiving, and then you get to watch it at home with everybody else.
Yeah, I mean, I guess like at Thanksgiving time, that does make a little bit of sense. It's like, hey, people will be home, together as families. We can put this on, but it was doing well in theaters. Like they should have just.
It did great in theaters. It was at 600 theaters. I think it did like $10 million. So people showed up.
Yeah, the screening that I went to, I think it was opening night, was like almost completely full. So like there was definitely like buzz and energy for it. So
well, the next big theatrical event will be the Taylor Swift Eras tour.
Oh, I know.
The concert film.
You're going.
I'm going. I got my ticket. It was a pain in the ass. The fucking app froze on me twice. Yeah. But apparently they're saying that like I think like $10 million in pre-sale tickets.
Wow.
In like 6 hours, and they said that only like that this feels like it'll be like a Marvel movie, and so much so that the Exorcist reboot moved. It was supposed to come out the same day. There were people calling it Extra Swift, because of Barbenheimer, and then they moved because they realized they were going to get their asses kicked.
Yeah, I mean, look, in all fairness, I don't think Exorcist is going to do that well anyway, but you definitely don't want to be going up against Taylor Swift if you can avoid it.
Yeah, also, I think that the ticket sales are doing so well for theaters because a lot of people got screwed with Ticketmaster, and a lot of the dates, and she did a lot of dates, but she didn't go across the country. A lot like the closest to me, I think, was like Philadelphia.
Oh wow! I mean, she came here to LA, but we couldn't get tickets because they were like $1,500 for top section. So we're just like, do we want to get gouged on resale that bad? No.
For me, nosebleeds to be in the building near the back of the stadium, $500.
Yeah, I mean, shit, we could have flown to Philadelphia, stayed in a hotel, and gone to see the show for the cost of a single ticket to here in LA. But my goodness.
But hey, now we get this. Now we get to see it live from the best seat in the house in a movie theater, and I assume it'll be a lively crowd. Like I've gone to the theater for boxing events and for UFC.
Yeah,
people treat it like people treat it like that they're watching it at home. People cheer, people stand, people clap, people scream, people boo. I assume with Taylor Swift, everybody will sing, everybody will get up and dance when appropriate. Everybody will scream.
Yeah, well, it was yesterday morning, the morning before. I feel like my fiance is like, she got her hand on my back. She's like, "Wake up!" I'm like, "What? Can I have your phone?" Okay,
like,
so I give her the phone, and then I'm like trying to go back to sleep, and then she's telling me, she's like, yeah, the Taylor Swift thing is coming, and like she got tickets, but she wasn't sure if she had to get back in line, so she wanted to see if she could get better tickets, and so now we have tickets to Friday and Saturday. I don't know even what we're gonna do with all these tickets, but we'll find someone to go with us, I'm sure.
I got tickets for Saturday at IMAX. The front row, or the only thing that's available in IMAX on Friday is the handicap seats at like row 2.
Wow. So
basically you'll be looking up. You'll be looking up.
I know, and those seats don't recline either. Like they go back a little bit, but not enough to sit in the front row.
Do you remember the video of the guy in the front row for Oppenheimer.
Oh my God, Cillian Murphy's chin, just straight up chin cam.
Yep.
But yeah, I kind of feel like I want to see that version of Oppenheimer because it's going to be so weird to just have it completely like out of proportion like that. But I still have not pulled the tickets on going to see it in the real IMAX yet because it just seems like a pain in the ass. And I don't want to sit in the front row.
Are there still only like front row seats left?
That's a good question. Last time I checked, it was basically like the first handful of rows. So I don't know if that's still the case, but shit, I'll check right now. Let me see. Are they still
And
playing
I am
Oppenheimer IMAX 9 p.m. tonight? Yeah. It's like the first 3 rows are open basically.
Is it 70?
Yeah, 70 millimeter IMAX.
Nice.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not going to it tonight, but it looks like if I really want to, I probably could get tickets here soon. So I don't know how long they're going to end up leaving it in theaters. You know, it's all weird with these theatrical windows now. I mean, Ninja Turtles is like leaving at the end of this week or something. So,
Yeah, Ninja Turtles hits VOD tonight or today.
oh, okay. So yeah, end of the week. And that's sad because Turtles is a good movie. It just didn't really do well. I mean, I didn't expect it to do like crazy numbers, but
from what I saw, it did well enough.
I mean, it depends what the break-even point is. Because if it's really like 2.5 times the budget, then okay, it made its money, so it's gonna be okay.
Like I think the budget was like 70 million.
Yeah,
and I don't know what the full worldwide take is.
I think I saw it at like 140, 150. So that's not bad. We just entered a weird territory where like if you don't gross $1 billion, like your movie's a failure.
Yeah, it's 138 million worldwide. So I think I think they were pretty much waiting on like Japan and China.
Yeah. I mean,
and hopefully people show up because of Jackie Chan and because of the sword fighting and all.
Yeah. I mean, it's a good movie. Like, if you're listening to this at some point and you're curious about the Ninja Turtles movie, check it out. It's good. It's just, I think it came at a time where nobody was really asking for Ninja Turtles. Like the last time we got Ninja Turtles was Michael Bay, and it was like nobody asked for it then either. So I think like people's lasting impressions of it are like, yeah, this isn't something I need to see, you know?
Well, and also I think a lot of the the good reviews were basically what talked me into it, because it's like, do we really need another Ninja Turtles movie? The last one was so terrible. And then I saw reviews like, oh yeah, this is the best one since the originals. This is the best one ever. It's like, all right. And they were right.
Yeah. No, I had a good time with it. I mean, I was going to go see it regardless, but.
And also, I believe like the writer's strike kind of hurt, and like the actor's strike kind of hurt it, because like you could have Seth Rogen go out, talk it up, go on the talk shows, have all the teenage / early 20s actors go out and have some fun.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, like you see the way that Netflix sort of like pimps out all the kids from Stranger Things to go and do their promotional events. So it wouldn't be unsurprising to see that the movie like started off slow because people didn't want it. Word of mouth was great. So it had a really good second week, I think. And then it tapered off after that. But we're also in the middle of like the heightened strike and all that. So.
And also it's the only like family movie out.
Yeah.
And you could argue a lot of the families are also seeing Barbie too.
Yeah, that's probably a good point.
And then you get parents who are like, I thought this was going to be for kids.
Yeah. I mean, well, it's like, because I think you're around my age based on like some of what you said. So we
mid-30s.
I'm late 30s, but yeah, we grew up with Ninja Turtles being like on TV. The cartoon, on lunchboxes, on shirts, like toys, like Ninja Turtles was big for kids when we were young.
The movies.
Yeah, exactly. I just don't feel like that is still the case now. Like I don't see kids wearing like Ninja Turtles gear really. Like every now and then I'll see like a backpack or something, but it feels much less like culturally dominant in the US than it was when we were young.
Well, also when at least when I was young, the Power Rangers.
Yeah. Exactly. And they tried to reboot Power Rangers, and it's like that didn't exactly get started up again either.
Apparently, the Netflix thingy that's kind of a reboot where they kind of bring back some of the original cast. Apparently, is decent.
Okay.
I haven't watched it.
Yeah, because wasn't there like a movie version of it like 2-3 years ago? Maybe a little bit longer, like 5-6 years ago.
The one with Elizabeth Banks as Rita
Uh,
Repulsa.
I'm guessing yes.
That one. The one where they kind of teased Tommy at the end, but because the movie sucked and the movie tanked, nobody. I mean, in that movie, they don't become the Power Rangers until 90 minutes into a movie that's almost 2 hours.
Yeah, that's not what
So
you
it's
want from a Power Rangers movie.
It's pretty much they become the Power Rangers. They had the big fight, and then it's over
Fair point. But
because
you
they
know what?
spent 90 minutes on a fucking origin story.
Yeah. And that's tough. Like it's a tough balance, especially with an established property. So, I mean, even with Sucker Punch, we're like you said, what, half an hour in before there's an action sequence. So it's a lot of world building, but we don't know which world is getting built because there's so many different ones at play. And I think that's, it's to its detriment, but I also like the creative DNA that sort of like strings all that stuff together. And it's got sword fighting. So if you like Ninja Turtles, hey, it's got katana swords. If you like team ups like Power Rangers, it's got a team of women wielding automatic weapons and shooting a bunch of robots. So it's got that going for it too.
If you like the Matrix, there's a lot of slow motion gun battles.
If you like Dungeons and Dragons, there's a huge fire breathing dragon in this movie too.
If you're a fan of John Woo, you get the slow motion. I believe there is a 2-gun bit. Or there's a bit where Baby Doll has a gun. I think it's the trenches scene. She has a gun and she has a sword.
Yes.
So she's shooting one guy with a handgun and slashing somebody with another one.
Yeah, I would say like the visual style of this film is great. Like it looks fantastic on screen, and it's like it's creative choices with how they did the production design, with how they did the set piecing. I think all that stuff works really, really well for the most part. So I'm surprised to see that like even the people that are big fans of Zack Snyder have not necessarily been able to elevate this film in the way that they've done with some of his other work.
Yeah, pretty much. I'm looking through. Larry Pope is the DP, and it looks like he did 300 Watchmen. He did not do Man of Steel.
That's a different vibe,
And I don't know if he had like a falling out with Snyder because he hasn't done any of his newer movies.
What has he done that he hasn't done with Snyder?
So he was DP on Super 8. Now You See Me, Kong Skull Island, Predator, or Shane Black's The Predator. Less said about that, the better. He did Chippendale Rescue Rangers.
Okay.
And upcoming, he has something called Damsel.
All right.
So I don't know. He's got something.
And we got something, but since we've arrived kind of like at the end, is there anything that you wanted to talk about that we didn't get to talk about?
I would have to think about it. Not that I can. Yeah, we did Oscar Isaac having you kind of talked about John Hamm at the end. But
I would have liked more John Hamm because he's a good actor, but like I understand sort of saving him for the end.
And which also means that a lot of his part got completely cut.
Unfortunately.
If you saw the movie in theaters.
Yeah.
But hey, we almost made it to 2 hours.
We did. So I'll ask you the question that I ask all of my guests, which is if somebody liked Sucker Punch and you're going to recommend another film to them based on this film, or if they haven't seen Sucker Punch and you want to recommend a film that's sort of in the neighborhood to get them to take the leap on Sucker Punch, what kind of movie would you say?
Could you argue like maybe Atomic Blonde? Although that's not like quite as CG heavy. I'd say like the other the other Snyder movies. That's a tough one. What would you recommend?
I don't know. As I'm thinking of it now,
Or that's maybe not that's more maybe obscure. I kind of thought of one. Did you ever see Pompeii
no.
with Emily? Where Emily Browning's other big movie, but she's not the lead. And it was Paul W. Anderson, the guy who did the Resident Evil movies.
Gotcha.
And it takes place, and it's like a volcano. It's a big budget PG-13 volcano movie.
Yeah, I heard about it, but I didn't see it. But since you mentioned Resident Evil, I think like probably some of the Resident Evil sequels down the line. Probably,
I'm a big fan of Apocalypse.
Okay, so
I know a lot of people don't like it.
Yeah, when I talked to Shauna and we did the first Resident Evil for this show, and we kind of like went through all the other ones. We didn't really like spend a ton of time with the other ones, but I was like, I feel like I should probably rewatch them all start to finish because I have seen them all, but I've never like sat down and watched them in order. It was like, well, whenever it comes out, I'll be able to watch it, but it's typically like 2 or 3 years, down the line from when I set out to watch it.
Yeah, I had forgotten this. Pompeii has Kit Harington as the lead, and a baffling Kiefer Sutherland got the "and" credit. You know how a lot of times if you want like one actor to bring in the international crowd, you put them as the "and."
Yeah.
Apparently, I was going through Emily Browning's filmography to see what else she's been in because she hasn't been in a lot of. This movie didn't. Maybe not push her forward, but push her into like the spotlight, giving her big time leading roles. She has a small part in Legend,
the Tom Hardy movie.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Okay.
And apparently, Class of 07 is supposed to be decent, which is on Prime.
Okay, I haven't seen that one, but I guess like if I had to think of something that I would put near this one. I'd say maybe Scott Pilgrim because it is like a heavy stylized sort of like fantasy existence plus like this other grounded like reality underneath it. It's got musical elements as well.
Watch you get angry letters or angry when this podcast goes out. It's like, oh, I haven't seen Sucker Punch. You all talked me into it, and you mentioned Scott Pilgrim. And then people watch it's like, what the fuck is this?
I'm not saying it's the same as Scott Pilgrim. For the record.
And hey, Brie Larson was almost in it, apparently.
There you go. There's a little bit of connective tissue. So, look, it's the best I could come up with, all right? I put you on the spot hoping for an answer.
Yeah.
And then you turned it back on me unexpectedly, so... Either that or like because it's like the Matrix, I guess, like, because of all the slow-mo and the action stuff. But I think because of like the fantasy elements that I'm having a tough time like giving it a good double bill,
Yeah, this is doing something like that, like a big genre mashup, like Fire Breathing Dragons, Game of Thrones. But then again, this is nothing like Game of Thrones.
Oh, I have one that I'm thinking of actually. Let me see if that's 47 Ronin, the Keanu samurai movie.
Oh, I kind of thought of one. Speed Racer.
Oh, okay, that's a good one actually. I like that.
Could that be a topic for bad movies we love? Because that movie, the critics at the time did not like it.
I know, and I've heard people since say that it's a masterpiece. So I'm very curious to see where the hammer falls on that. I haven't watched it.
You've never seen Speed Racer?
No, I used to watch the show, but I never watched the movie.
You should watch the movie. It actually this would be a good double bill with Sucker Punch because it's all I don't want to say great. It's all like green screen. There's a lot of slow motion. It's kind of like a live action cartoon.
Yeah, I know. It's like I don't know why I hesitated because it's like I like Emil Hirsch and it's the Wachowskis, right, that made it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's like it has a lot of the things that I would have been like. And I watched the cartoon as a kid, so I should have watched it. I just didn't for some reason. I think probably because critics were like, no, this movie's horrible.
Yeah. Now it's. I wouldn't say it's rated high because I just checked the IMDb score is still 6.1, but I believe it's of the people that like it are really fucking loud about liking it.
Okay. Well, that's good. I mean, at least if you're gonna love something, like love it wholeheartedly. The other movie that I was thinking of, if you really want something that's like female-led action film, Tank Girl. And then nobody's gonna be like, "Hey, I love Scott Pilgrim." I was so
Yeah.
disappointed when you recommended Sucker Punch. Watch Tank Girl and Sucker Punch, and I think maybe those are a little bit closer to the same level. But I like both of them, so
Ice-T is in that movie.
he is.
And I believe Naomi Watts said that she was embarrassed by it and wants to pretty much disown being in it. Like somebody brought, like I think somebody brought it up to her like post Mulholland Drive, and she's like, "Ill, I wasn't in that movie.
Malcolm
That movie
McDowell's
doesn't
in it
exist."
too. No, Tank Girl's fun. So yeah, if you like Tank Girl, check out Sucker Punch and vice versa. Definitely don't check out Scott Pilgrim and yell at me about it. Yeah, but that brings us to the end of the road, my friend. Are you working on anything that you want to plug right now?
Not that I can think of.
All right, no worries.
I'm on the Twitter /X. I refuse to call it X because
I know it's
fucking
weird.
terrible name. So I'm on the Twitter at the True Defense, and the name comes from the South Park episode where you have Johnny Cochran yelling about the Chewbacca defense. It does not make sense. If Chewbacca does not make sense, he must have quit.
It's a good episode. I'll make sure that I put your handle
I
under
believe
the show notes and everything.
I believe
like
isn't
that
that the Chef 8? I believe that's a Chef 8 episode too, right?
The what?
The Chef 8 episode where they got like Ozzy Osbourne, DMX. They made a whole
might be.
They made a whole album. Master P's on that album. There's a song with Puff Daddy, Mace, Lil Kim, and System of a Down during backing instrumentation. It's wild.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, South Park is such an extensive show at this point. I have trouble keeping track of like what time in history certain episodes came out, but
that one came out like yeah, still on, still going. I believe they'll probably go until they literally can't do it anymore.
Yeah, seems that way, but that's good. You know, as we've discussed a couple times throughout the course of this show, it's like creative freedom for the artists, and it's like obviously they're going to go and do other things if they want to, but they're able to continuously, give back to the fan base that supported them for South Park for all these years.
Yeah, you could argue that with Sucker Punch, this is Zack Snyder at his most maybe not most creative, but where pretty much the studio let him do whatever he wanted to do.
Yeah, it's and like then the unchained.
And then the MPAA said no, you can't. Nope. You wanted that PG-13, get rid of that scene. And then Warner got in, saw the movie. It's like, well, you promised us a badass female-led action movie, and there's no action for the first 30 minutes, and there's a big there's a big song and dance number.
Yeah, you probably had the execs walking out of that like, we're going to have a long chat with Zach after this movie ends. Going to have some notes for him. Cool. Well, thank you for your time. I appreciate you bringing this film to the table because I had a lot of fun rewatching it, and I'm really glad that I got to see the extended version because I had not seen that yet. So I'm curious to like watch the original version now and see like what the difference is. But I would
it's mainly the song and dance number is no longer there. The song and dance number is now only at the end credits. And that scene with John Hamm is not in the movie at all. The big scene with John Hamm at the end is no longer in the movie.
Well, then I guess my only choice is to recommend the extended cut, which you can buy for $6 on Apple. I think it was maybe $6.99. So yeah, if you're going to rent a movie for $4, you might as well just buy this one for $7, get the extra 20 minutes or whatever, and get the full experience of the film.
And if you can, 4K.
Yes, if you can. If your TV supports 4K, go for it.
Yeah, I briefly mentioned it, but like the first 15, 20 minutes it almost feels like it's sepia tone with very few color. And then like once you get into like fantasy sequences and the music, the big song and dance number, the colors like explode. Like it was made for 4K and IMAX. And apparently this does not have a physical 4K release. It's only on digital.
Well, we got to lead the charge and bust Warner Brothers balls until they give us a nice 4K Blu-ray, Ultra HD, director's cut,
and the Snyder cut.
Exactly.
The one that has the additional Emily Browning musical number at the end.
Yeah, maybe by the time we get to 20 years, we've got what, 7 years of groundwork to lay before the 20-year anniversary comes out.
Yeah. Zack Snyder will be almost 60.
We got to start the grassroots movement now.
Scott Glenn might not be here. Scott Glenn might not be here anymore.
Yeah,
because he's old. Is he close to 80?
He's got to be. I mean, this movie was 13 years ago, so he's probably in
and he looked old then.
Yeah. Well, Scott Glenn, I hope you hang around to the 20-year anniversary.
Wasn't Scott Glenn in he was in Silence of the Lambs, right?
Was he? Who was he in Silence of the Lambs? Was he like one of the detectives?
I thought for sure he was in Silence of...
He is. He's Jack Crawford.
Oh yeah, yeah. A much younger version of Jack Crawford, but yeah.
Yeah. So there you go. You can do the whole.
Also, would you like to know what year Scott Glenn was born in?
Sure.
1939.
Damn.
So the chances of him making it to the 20th anniversary, I believe he'll be like 90.
Yeah.
Or no, excuse me, he'll be 91.
All right. Well, from your mouth to God's ears, let's hope that Scotty can make it to the 20th, or that we speed it up and do a 15-year 4K physical Blu-ray director's cut for Sucker Punch. But Ryan, again, I want to thank you for your time and for helping me with this show. And again, for bringing Sucker Punch to the table. It's a movie that wasn't like on my radar because I always liked it. So I didn't really like think to second guess whether or not it was like as poorly received as it was. But
I
fortunately, it fits the bill for this show.
Yeah, I remember. I saw your. I've seen your podcast listed when you call it Bad Movies We Love, and you could debate on the bad movie part, but critically, it was not liked at all.
Nope. But hey, you know what? It doesn't always matter. We love it, so we had fun with it. And so I suggest other people, if you haven't seen it, if you're afraid because of its reputation, don't be afraid. Take the leap. It's only a couple hours. It's visually incredible. It really gives you all of the sort of Zack Snyder style that you've become accustomed to throughout his filmography. And, like Ryan said,
it's not Scott Glenn. It's Zack Snyder at his most, I want to say, unhinged.
Yeah.
Where he gets to pretty much do whatever he wants to do.
Say his most unhinged and his most unencumbered, and then the studio still stepped on it. So
yeah,
director's cut. Goddammit. But anyway, thank you, my man. Appreciate your time. Have a good night.
You too.
We'll talk soon. Thank you once again to Ryan for joining me. It was great to sit down and revisit Sucker Punch. You can catch him talking movies on X at The Chew Defense, spelled just like it sounds. And of course, thank you to everyone who took the time to listen to this episode. I know you have a lot of choices when it comes to podcasts, and I appreciate you spending your time with us. I hope you enjoyed the show, and if you do, please consider leaving a rating and telling a friend about it. And the new support page is live at ko-fi.com. That's ko-fi.com/badmovieswelove. I'd love to hear from you, so if you have a bad movie you love, or maybe would like to be a guest on the show, you can contact me now at badmovieswelove@thesheist.com or badmovieswelove on Twitter and Instagram, and that's love with an LUV. And as always, Take care, be well, stay safe, and have fun however you get your movies.